Hey everybody, this is part 5 of working with strings, and we're going to talk about string interpolation, which is essentially building a message around the values of a variable. We can do it with the plus operator. There's also a way to do it with something called template literals. We're not going to go into that just now. The policy of this course for now is to give you one way to do all the things you need to do, and then later on you can layer in other ways to do those things. Um, so yeah, I might just show you what template literals look like. Actually, to be honest, if you look in Module 2, and I think there might be one or two of these in Module 1, I actually use template literals just because they're kind of fancy and they're nice, and they get rid of a couple of things that are mildly annoying about what we're about to do. So here is a string interpolation that we're just going to talk about. So we have a variable food we're calling pizza, and a method of transport called the train, and then we're going to assign a sentence to be the best way to travel is to get, and there's a space here, plus food plus the rest of the string. So if you look at this, it's essentially string concatenation, but instead of strings for all of the operands, which is to say this is an operand, instead of strings, we're using variables that have strings inside of them, or that represent strings. So the resulting sentence when we run this should be the best way to travel to get pizza is surely to take the train. Now, one example to prove would be something like ham sandwich, and the method of transport is the bus. So we could say the best way to travel to get ham sandwich. Well, I guess we need to say a ham sandwich. So you can see how this is not exactly like a foolproof method, but what this does allow us to do is to have variables that are then interpolated into a resulting string. So that's the best way to travel to get a ham sandwich is surely to take the bus. Okay, so now we're going to interpolate a variable's value into a string with this coding challenge. We are going to complete a function that takes in two parameters. Both will be strings. One's going to be called activity, the other is going to be called day of the week, and returns a message based on the input. Your function should create a new variable, assign it to an expression which will interpolate the parameters into a message described below, then return that variable. Below are examples of the code running, assuming that you will have completed the described function, interpolate a string. So this is one of those where the actual message here is going to help us understand what we're supposed to do in the function itself. That said, we're just going to follow the same pattern. I'm going to copy the function stub, copy the test cases. Oh man, at one point you could highlight here and highlight the whole thing, and they just did not let me do that anymore. Man, oh man, this is... Oh, we got another error here. That's going to be... How frustrating. I don't understand why that wouldn't let me highlight all of this. Let's try from going top to bottom. That's even worse. There we go. Let's punch our test cases in. Let's get rid of this colon and make it a semicolon. I'm likely going to remove both of those, but in the event that I forget, you're going to get unexpected token colon. It'll point you to the line, and you can replace it with a semicolon. So create a result variable, assign it to an expression which interpolates the input parameters into the described message. So here's a copy of the described message, and let's go ahead and paste that into our pseudocode just to help. So we will go hiking on Tuesday. Now it looks like that's the result when we have hiking and Tuesday. So if we think about that, we're going to want to create our result variable and assign it to that string. And here's a way that we can get our interpolation done without too much headache. So hiking is essentially the day of the week activity. So let's wrap quotes around that. Sorry, not double quotes, single quotes around that. And now see how it's highlighted white? This is actually going to help us because at this point we can just say plus, plus, and put activity in the middle there. So we have a space on both sides already, which is going to help. Same thing for Tuesday, which looks like it's the day of the week. So we'll double click it, hit single quotes, and then Tuesday is highlighted for some reason, but that's okay. So we'll put plus plus because we want to add the string before and the string afterwards. And then in here, we'll just say day of the week. And then the last thing is going to be a semicolon because we put our period here, and then we return the result variable. So with this, the error messages or the successfully logged console messages are going to help us tremendously. If we run this, we'll see should log we will go hiking on Tuesday, and it says we will go hiking on Tuesday. So that's 1 in the win column. and then we will go dancing on Friday, we will go dancing on Friday. The punctuation looks similar enough for us to consider that we're at least partially correct. So let's go ahead and copy this. And to be sure, we're much more correct than we were with the test cases that only had one output. Sometimes if you have one output, you might end up passing that test, but it's because you did something called hard coding. In this case, we see evidence that we're getting the value of our parameters for each call of the function, which is a very good sign. So let's copy our function, go ahead and paste it in here, and find out what version of good shape we're in. So instead of in good shape, we are in convenient format. Excellent. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.